There's a Firefly base close by. Be careful.
Hey there,
Stick
everyone.
together.
Why, look at this. I'm going to be talking about life and stuff, and it's not to Call of Duty. Huh. And not even the zombies, just straight up not Call of Duty. You might be asking what game this is, although if I put into the title description of the video, this is The Last of Us, the multiplayer. Ever since E3 of last year, from that gameplay demo, I have been itching to play this game. You know, Naughty Dog is a great studio. They made the Uncharted series, and although I've never played it, I know how highly acclaimed that series is. And, you know, they also did Jak and Daxter, and this game was just phenomenally engrossing, very believable, genuine, authentic. It's a little slow in the beginning, although the very opening of the game is just fantastic. I mean, oh man, talk about getting pulled in with a hook. Just a fantastic opening. But then, like, the first chapter is pretty slow, but then after that chapter, it really expands, and it was a really fun game. It took about 14 hours for me to beat on normal. I would recommend playing on hard, though, if you are a savvy player, for a little bit of the extra challenge, because I admittedly was overstocked on resources. Ammo isn't exactly plentiful, but it's in such a way that the game will drop more ammo the more ammo you use, so that you're not screwed. Whereas if you try to hoard all your ammo, because you're like, oh, I gotta save it for when I really need it, but if you never use it, you're never gonna get any more drops. You know, that's kind of how it works. So it's interesting that way. But it was a great game. I'm probably gonna play through it again on a harder difficulty. And as for the multiplayer, it's there's only really two modes. It's like Survivor, basically, just 4 and 4. You get 1 life, and there's a number of ways. You level up. You get certain perks, and you get like stealth bonuses. You can craft faster, heal teammates, better gun abilities. You know, all that kind of jazz. So like right there, he's grabbing these materials out of the box, and he can craft like a smoke bomb, a med kit, a Molotov, you know, to use against enemies. And, you know, there's a balance of stealth, durability, and it's fun. I played a bunch of it, and I figure it'd be interesting to show as opposed to Call of Duty. And these are like 2 of the better gameplays. It's a close match, but I happen to be the clutch in both of these gameplays. So I hope you like it. Anyway, I got back from Ireland last week, and that place was awesome. It's no one exaggerates when they talk about how beautiful that place is. It is, you know, you could tell, like, this is where inspiration comes from. You know, they filmed Game of Thrones there. A lot of Game of Thrones in that country, along with Greenland and Morocco, I believe. And you know, it's like this is where fairy tales and fantasy comes from. That's how authentic the landscape is. All the food I had was awesome. Went to the Guinness brewery, and Guinness tastes entirely different in person as opposed to shipped over here. It's really incredible, because I never really cared for it before, but it was I was getting used to it over there. And oh my god, like this Guinness beef casserole, anything that uses ingredients from their fresh livestock or potatoes, or it was so good. Little Homer Simpson there.
Good to go.
I would totally go back, ideally with friends or girlfriend. Kind of past the point that was like our last family vacation. We're not doing that anymore, and for what it was worth, all things considered, it went pretty well. Thanks. End of an era, beginning anew. Alright, so and as for the games, I still need to start BioShock Infinite. I had this footage for this blog recorded over the weekend, and that's when I wanted to do it, but really unfortunate circumstances lately. I don't want to get into it. I'm not happy about it, but it is part of the topic I'm going to get into later, which is integrity. and I'll get into that. But first off, people have actually been asking me about college since, if you've been listening, I graduated back in 2008 with sociology, and I went back to school a little bit recently to try to get see if I had a knack for academia with proper medication, and turns out, yeah, I do. I can hack it. I'm pretty sure. Unfortunately, there are virtually zero PhD or master programs that begin in the spring, so it looks like I'm not going to be starting anything until next fall, 2014. So that means this year is GRE prep, and I probably have to take a whole course load in the fall with classes that would be beneficial for the kind of programs I'm applying for, which would be sociology, statistics, and social work type stuff. And and just applying to school and working. That's what's on the menu for the year. But people want college advice, and while I'm not necessarily the most, I obviously made a bunch of mistakes in college, but so really I don't have expertise. I only have experience and lessons that you can learn from that I learned, and that's really all I can offer. So take my advice with a grain of salt. I guess if you're not in college yet, the question is it worth it? And if you asked that 15 years ago, the answer would have been a resounding yes. Higher education was the foundation to better paying jobs. But thanks to recession, there are now more people than ever with degrees that aren't using them, or unable to find work with them. Because people with much better credentials than I do are having trouble getting a job, and people with, lots and lots of experience, downsizing, they had to be let go. They have to find new lines of work now. So what incentive is there for you to go to college? It is definitely a pro-con situation. You have to weigh the costs and benefits, because it certainly isn't for everyone. So is the degree worth it? Well, that largely depends what you get a degree in. There's a thing called job security. Getting a degree in a certain field will have much higher chance of landing a job and keeping a job. My dad, for instance, is a doctor, and one of the primary reasons he got into being a doctor is because my grandfather lost his job with a company he's been with for he was with for like 35 years, long standing, and he had 8 kids and a wife. So my dad said, that's not going to happen to me. And so a big part of the reason, in addition to his own natural aptitude and interest, he wanted to be a doctor, because you can self-employ, and everyone needs healthcare. It's a universal necessity, there are such things as recession-proof industries. You don't go to the emergency room because you feel like it. You go there because you have to. A lot of stuff like that. He's currently a family physician. So certain degrees are certainly much better than others in yielding job potential. Right now, I think the best degrees are like computer science and engineering these days, because you have to think about where society is going, and technology is moving at exponentially faster all the time. So anything with computers is going to be beneficial. But something more like the arts, if in acting, where competition is very high, or you want to graphic design or make movies, or that's because when I had an interest in trying to do video editing, the most important thing in there is actually your portfolio, and the work you can provide, not your credentials. I've heard so many people say they want to see what kind of work you can make as opposed to you just having a piece of paper from a place that says you can do good work. They want to see what you can make. So the art, for example, is an instance where it's what you can produce. But if you need the skills in the first place, if you don't, I would not recommend going into an art that you have zero experience in already. This is one of those fields where you need if you weren't already, like, my friend was making music since he was in middle school. And he's made thousands of songs ever since. So, doing something in sound engineering or just trying to become a musical artist, he has more viability based on the amount of experience. You can't just pick up an art or a skill and expect to succeed in it. So you have to have realistic expectations. You know what they say is like, a lot of us want to be NBA All-Stars, but if you're not 6 foot, if you can't dunk, then don't waste your time. So that's one thing. The teaching would have been better before, but unfortunately, education is consistently getting defunded, which is unfortunate. And people are pushing towards private schools because they say, "Oh, look how poorly our education system is doing." Yeah, because you keep taking money out of it, and it becomes less effective, and you have stressed teachers with much bigger classrooms, and they can't pay attention. And so it's cyclical reasoning. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. If you take the money out of education, yeah, education's going to fail. So teaching didn't have the best job security that it did before. So I'm pretty sure. So in terms of viable, some of the best fields I think to get into for a degree are certainly engineering, computer science, and healthcare, being in the medical profession. Those are pretty safe bets. More highly contested are like lawyers. A lot of people like to go to law school, but there are way more lawyers than than necessary for firms and stuff like that. It is certainly. It's like, depending on what you want to do, a lot of companies really care more about experience than they do about credentials. By far, the number one most important thing in helping you land a job is your connections. Who you know is what is the biggest factor in what jobs you are able to get. If you have someone that works at a similar company, someone who can call in a favor, anything like that, that is going to drastically increase your odds of getting a job, even though it shouldn't. But that's the case. If you just want to get a normal desk job or something, you just want to do basic grunt work for a company and climb the ladder, you got to look into internships. You got to see who your parents know, or cousins, your extended family. You gotta, there are websites like LinkedIn that, where you meet up with people, you invite people that and then you get business relationships and you go outward like that. If you just want to work for a company or something, that's going to be more important than a degree, getting experience, and then you can work up, and you could even work part-time while you work towards a degree. That can certainly help. And if you don't have someone to help you pay for it, or you don't have if you don't have a grant or scholarship, then and you're going to have to resort to loans, then you might have to take that route. But that's in terms of job viability. Personally, should you go to college? Ideally, I think you should. I think everyone should go to college. Because, okay, for one, like I just said, networking. It is where you get you will meet a lot of people that you can meet up again with in professional roles later down the line. This is where you meet people your age with similar interests, and they will help you be able to find jobs. And so if they're in the same field, or if you need something, this is a great networking opportunity. Meeting people is vital. The other thing is, if you don't know what you want to do already, you can spend a year or two just doing undergrad requirements and branching out and trying different classes, see what floats your boat. You'd be surprised how many people change careers or majors, and maybe you think you're going to be you want to major in business and go to law school, but then you find out you have a passionate interest in religious studies or psychology, and you end up wanting to teach, or you somehow get interested in broadcast journalism for all you know. The experimentation is crucial. You need to get hands-on experience in a variety of areas to find out what you really want to do. And like I said, money is important, but there's only so much money you need to earn before your happiness doesn't go up anymore. I just heard that that making more than $50,000 does not really increase your amount of happiness. As long as money isn't a stress factor and you don't have debt and you're able to take care of yourself and your family, if those things are required, and then you have enough for leisurely spending, it's your activities and what you do that make you happy, and the quality of the job as opposed to just how much money you make. I have my friend, for example. He makes a fairly good salary, like between 60,000-70,000 or something, but he describes his work as soul crushing. He can't stand it. He's dying. He wants to write. He's dying to get out of that career that just saps his soul. So he says. So I don't think you should sacrifice. You should not go into something that you're going to hate simply to make money. Yes, you do need to make a bare minimum of money to survive. But again, there's the balance. I would much rather do something I enjoy doing and make a decent salary, above 40,000, and have time for the hobbies that make me happy, and being able to take care of my family and pastimes, and being able to hang out with my friends. That's what's going to make me happy. That's how I would define myself as successful, personally. I could probably do a desk job, but if I didn't work with people, and there is a correlation between people's happiness and if what they think they do matters. If they think they do a job that has no impact on other people, if it's just busy work, if it's just they are significantly less happy. They like to know that they matter. That is what causes happiness. So that's why if you can go to school, and you can go to school part-time. You don't have to take, you can do as what's necessary to get by, because time, you should be able to do what the time it takes to get what you want. I'm having trouble phrasing this. Basically, I don't mind taking the extra years to get to maybe eventually get a PhD in sociology, because I know that I will be ecstatic being able to do research that could benefit people in an area that I have a high interest in anyway. It's just, so you have to balance happiness with the job, but it has to be in a market where you can viably get a job. You know what I'm saying? So that's that. The other reason you go to college, maturity.
Me too. I got explosive.
I went to schools for the wrong reasons, man. I thought college was just what you did after you got out of high school. I pretty much, it seems I pretty much mature. I'm a late bloomer in almost all aspects of my life. But I just went to school because I thought I was supposed to. I had no idea what I wanted to do, and to a certain sense, I still don't. But I went to school because it was nearby, and my friends were going there, and the arcade had a DDR machine of all things. These were my standards these were my priorities when I was 18, 17. I was a stupid ass kid, and even though I was on even though I wasn't medicated for ADHD, I had horrible study habits, and I almost flunked out of my freshman year.
I was shooting him. He was still punching me.
It helps you come to terms with the reality. It lets you. It's a middle ground between the real world. It's a safe place where you can accrue life experience that is necessary in all aspects of your life going forward. By all means, take a break and wait a year before you go to college and save up money if you need to. But if you're like me, no matter how smart you think you are when you're in high school, you really do know nothing. And it's only when you understand that you know nothing that you're actually free to learn. And I learned so many important things in college. I grew out of my shell. I learned how to talk with strangers. You meet people in certain there's a social circle for every kind of interest in college. It's fantastic, as opposed to cliques in high school. There's no such thing as popularity. You just go, you hang out with who you want to hang out with in college. That's one of the best parts about it. It's a great, in that part, it's a great experience, life experience. It's so vital. I don't think I would have the maturity for a lot of jobs if I didn't spend the 4 years in college. I really did learn, and I learned different things from the jobs I did work being out of college. You just have to be in a mindset that you're prepared to learn, and that's pretty much it. Wow, I spent a lot of time on that topic. So yeah, is college worth it? You have to wait. Do cost benefit, how much it costs, job viability in the market you want to go into, and okay, got a phone call there. Where was I? So yeah, those are the things you have to decide if you want to go to college, and if you already are in college and you don't know if you should finish or not. Depends how much you've already done. It at least feels good to have a degree, but yeah, not as useful as they were before. But anyway, maturity. Like I was saying, I had a big problem with motivation. To the degree, I still don't know what properly motivates me. I'm still working on it because procrastination is so bad. But sometimes it takes an incident to make you prioritize, let's just say. I'd rather not get into what the incident was, but it happened recently. And basically, it's a separate problem that I've had for a while. And, if you don't... I didn't think it was a problem for a while because it only affected myself, and so what's the big deal? But, recently it had the potential to affect someone else, and I would not be able to live myself if it, if something really bad happened as a result. And so, seeing how grave the situation, I mean, in a way, it was inevitable. What happened would have happened. And if it was inevitable, at least it happened in a way where I can come back and no one is really affected or anything. So the point is that's retribution and guilt is,
how did he down me
a good motivator. I wouldn't recommend it being your primary source of motivation, but You know, rather
If I
than
get
just
down,
letting
I might
it
take
consume
my
you and you
armor off.
wallow, at least you can turn it into something positive, and to get better. And I think with this behind me, I can take better steps to actually improve in a permanent way, make a lifestyle change. Because, like I said, I've never been the best at doing things for myself. I have very bad self-motivation and self-discipline. It's one of my primary problems.
Give me a sec.
He's behind you guys.
But, and, you know, I would almost always do something for the sake of others. And this is a little bit different in that it's not for the approval of others. It's so I don't negatively impact others. And, you know, it's like, say, you know, if you have a kid, you would do almost anything for your kid. They are your motivator to do what it takes, you know, to make an income or something like that. Something to that degree. Something where if you fail, someone else suffers, and you will not be able to live with yourself for yourself with that, you know? So while it's not that grave or anything,
It's not the last of these tourists.
it is the impetus that's necessary to start change. And the biggest thing, but also for myself, is integrity. That's what I wanted to get into. I would... The way I'm thinking about integrity is being able to recognize a problem you have and being able to address it in the face of ridicule or judgment. You know, how easy would it be to deny what happened and go about your life as if nothing? And yeah, you would feel better, but like I said, everyone else would obviously be able to tell you still have a problem. You're not fooling anyone else. You're only fooling yourself. So if you really do care about others, what's the point in doing that? Not to mention that it opens up the possibility of that mistake happening again. It isn't easy. It's not.
I'll fix you up.
But it is so important. If I want to be the kind of person that has a PhD that can really help others, I have to be the kind of person that can, you know, I obviously don't try to do bad, but I am human, and when I do make a mistake, as bad as you feel when it happens, if you don't own up to it and to try to prevent it from happening in the future, you only have yourself to blame, and you're just a fool. You are the fool. And this is a key aspiration and goal of mine. It's something I think about so much that I'm trying to work on, and it really is. All right, here's the background on behavior. Do you know what cognitive dissonance is?
Ow, where am I getting?
It's essentially disassociating yourself when you make a decision, you know, that basically a hypocritical decision. It's holding yourself up to different standards, but not being aware of it. It's when, you know, it's saying, for example, okay, like, why am I having such problems coming up with an example now?
If that ain't the last of those uniforms, let's wipe them out.
Jeez. It's like if you lambast somebody for cheating on their ex, but you cheated on for somebody for cheating on their girlfriend, but you cheated on your girlfriend, but your excuse is immediately, yeah, but I was unhappy. She wasn't taking care of me, or something like that, or vice versa. You know, and
What do you mean?
you don't hold yourself up to the same standards. And because I find that so aggravating in other people, it would just be the ultimate cognitive dissonance and hypocrisy if I did the same. So what does it take to recognize this dissonance and to prevent it from happening in the future? And it's hard. But basically, there are there are two types of behaviors. There is type 1 behavior, which is emotional and reactionary. It is instinctual, and it happens so fast you don't even think about it. It's like you subconsciously already made a decision, and then everything you say afterwards is a rationalization for it. This is emotional decision making. And then the second kind is type 2 thinking, which is literal cognizance. It's active thinking. You're aware. You are in your head going about taking in the evidence and making a decision. It's the exact opposite of the emotional response from the first. Many people are more inclined towards one than the other. It's in fact, and there have been hundreds of psychological studies on this for the past decade at least. But depending on how you are, really is a high correlation with how you vote. For example, if you are way more of a type 1 thinker and you are very emotional and you are reactionary, you tend to be more conservative. If you tend to deliberate and evaluate both sides, and you tend to actively think about, you're more type 2 thinker, you tend to be you have a much higher chance of being liberal. And other factors such as your openness, how you feel about authority, where you live, a lot of these things contribute. But one isn't necessarily better than the other. And if you were curious, I am a hardcore liberal. I would probably like the term progressive more, but I'm very much for equality, human rights, and stuff. Anyway, so one isn't better than the other. There's certain, conservatism is good in certain instances, like when it comes to decision making. They're very good at getting stuff done. They're very structured people. They make good charismatic leaders. So there's a lot of good stuff. But sometimes they just and then the liberals, they more wishy-washy in many things. They're not ready to commit to certain decisions a lot of the times, and so things can get done slower. But when the decision is made, it's tend to be more well-informed and more accurate. So both sides. But my point is, it's one thing to make a type 1 decision, an emotional decision, and it's correct. And incorrect, I mean, it's the same decision for the same reasons you would have made had you deliberately thought out, type 2 thought it out, and you would have come to the same decision. So that's incidental. But when it comes to how you feel about things, if your emotional type 1 response is different than it would have been had you slowly thought out and looked at the information, to me, that is not good. That would drive me up the wall. You see it so often. This is the cognitive dissonance. You hold other people and outgroups to different standards than your own. If you're type 1, you will be defensive. You will emotionally react and make decisions that support yourself and your in-group way more, even in light of contrary evidence. And, to a degree, this can't be helped, although the effects really are obvious. But this is where I'm getting to in terms of integrity. If, in light of contrary information, or if you make a hypocritical decision for your own sake, and it is the type 2 thought out, the thought out decision, and it's for your own sake, and it can affect others, and you're holding yourself up to different standards, that is a distinct lack of integrity, and it's you are held accountable for that. It is your fault. And it is not respectable. It's actively lying. It's like, at least with the first type, they're unaware of the hypocrisy, and it all makes sense in their head, but there's no excuse for number 2. It's cowardly. It's not something that a person with integrity, which you would need to be able to take care of your family or my girlfriend, which is what I need to do going forward, would have. If you make hypocritical decisions like that, and for it to save face that could really, and others are put at risk as a result, that's inexcusable. And I don't think I could live with myself if I did something like that would affect my friends or family. And so I will actively try my best to be aware of what cognitive dissonance I have. And as liberals, we tend to be more emotional reactionary towards maybe the environment or social equality or racism and stuff like that. We tend to have more knee-jerk reactions to that. We're not immune to type 1 response, believe me. But again, I will always want to make sure that my cognitive thought matches what my emotional response is too. I'm striving for consistency here, not infallibility. We're not infallible, but an ever steady increase in progression, approaching infinity, but never actually getting there. No, not approaching. Yeah, going infinity and approaching 0, but never reaching it. Anyway, that's what I was kind of getting at, and that's what's going to help me be motivated in making better decisions. And maybe if you stop and think about it, you'll realize there is something that you hold yourself up to a different standard than you do other people, and maybe you should accept your own criticism and just apply it towards yourself, like I'm going to try to do. Anyway, that's it for that sanctimonious speech. This video is getting pretty long as is. All right, quick rundown of things down the pipeline. As usual, we're going to play BioShock Infinite very soon. As soon as this bullshit's taken care of. Disgaea 3, I want to get that upgraded Vita now, and I want to be able to do the Vita version. That would be really awesome. And also, as for post E3 news, I'm pretty much decided I'm going to be a PlayStation 4 and PC gamer. So I want to take a lot of the specs I have in my current PC, half of them at least adequate to good, and the other half being not good enough for a PC gamer. So, for example, my processor, my amount of RAM, my hard drive space, those are all adequate. And I have a Blu-ray drive from this PC. What I would need is I need a new motherboard, a new GPU power unit, a CPU and GPU, a way better graphics card. My graphics card is the thing that's really holding me back. So if anyone knows like a good graphics card for about $500 that is going to be set for the upcoming PC gaming era, and if there is a significant benefit in jumping from a $500 to a particular $600 to $700 card, I will highly consider it. But I need a new motherboard, new case, all that stuff, and to reconfigure my PC. So, if anyone knows like a good site for like recommending customization of a PC or like to get feedback and stuff like that, that would be awesome. Anyway, and that's what I'm going to be up to. Thanks for watching, guys. Strive to be better like I do. I'm trying to, like I'm going to try to do. Be well, and see you around, okay? Take care, guys.